Have you found something that's really impacted you mentally, your self esteem, your mental health? Well, today I wanted to talk about the most challenging thing I've personally found that's challenged my mental health and my belief about myself more than anything, and what I've done about this and share it with you. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for you then as well. Before we dive in though, just want to mention that if you want to connect with me more on social media, my links are in the show notes below, as are my breathwork session links where you can work personally with me one-on-one in a special offer over August. Now, I did a lot of work on me. Started sort of like 2019 and really worked on myself. Now, I'd worked on myself before, but not as much in the personal growth world until I got my first coach. And I remember going for a rough year, particularly in the dating relationship setting. It would like be going up and down like a yo-yo, and I based how much I liked me on that. And therefore, that's why I decided to really start prioritizing my self-esteem and confidence at the time. And then after that, lockdown came and I was still single and really put a lot of effort into my like mindset, my psychology. And I became quite confident. And even when things opened up again, meeting people in person, I'd be quite confident. Now, 2022 then came along, and there were a couple of different things, personal and professional, that came along. What I realized though is that, man, I had a lot more growth to do, and it's never ending, right? And what really found my challenges in my life was the area of dating and relationships, because there was nothing more that would get to my wounds or insecurities than that area. I was talking to a friend about this as well, not recently, but a while ago, and this friend, she's based in another country, but she's super successful entrepreneur, like amazing, so good, right? Yet she was very honest, and she shared it openly on my social media as well, and was talking about that her self-esteem had been a challenge, and this area in particular really got to her from like her relationships and dating life as well, even though people just perceive her as very confident, right? And I did a previous episode on the difference between self-esteem and confidence, but I wanted to talk about this specifically today. So it can be really hard, because that's where the shadows within us. You can Google shadow work. I won't go too much into it. It's a lot of stuff I've done in like men's work, but it's when you go into parts of you that you try and hide away, and the light can come on those parts, and it's not always what you want to feel, and your partner or who you're dating may shine lights onto it, and not necessarily deliberately, but when it comes up, you can be like, oh my God. And now I've done all this work on myself, I remember, like over the years, and then I went into the situation and like a lot of my shadow was exposed, like a lot of like, I wouldn't lash out or things like that, but I remember inside myself, I was like, geez, I've got a lot to work on, right? And therefore, that was an opportunity for me to grow. It is hard work, but anything that's just easy is usually not going to get you a great result. So how does it help you by being stuck in the same cycles and not being honest with yourself and hiding things away? Well, if you're anything like me, it just sits there and doesn't do me any favors. So here is what I'm going to share with you that's really helped me develop more self-love and also more confidence in that area over time with dating relationships. So the first one is you've really got to prioritize you. Like, I thought I was doing this, and then I realized unconsciously I'd go back sometimes into people pleasing. I'd be like, oh my God, I can't say that to upset her. Now, I wasn't a super people pleaser. I wasn't like, I'm going to hide all my opinions of what I think. I'd done enough work on me to be honest and genuine about what I thought about things. Yet there was parts of me that was like, well, actually I was really upset about that, but I better not tell her because that might upset her. When actually, even though I don't want to be ranting or like just, arguing all the time, I do obviously want to share more of how I'm feeling, like truly. So you've really got to prioritize you, and that starts by having honest conversations with yourself every single day. That's really, really important. The second one, stop seeking external validation, and this one's something I'm still working on, and I think we're all always working on. And anyone who's now, are there like people who've got such a little social awareness about them? Yeah. And there's also, the other side, which is like empaths and don't want to upset anyone, right? So now, I'm not one extreme or the other, but like we live in a world of getting external validation. From a young age, we're trained to do that, right? So really have to catch yourself out when you're trying to get external validation. It kind of links to the first one. But yeah, stop chasing external validation to feel good about yourself. Feel good, and then if someone comes into your life, then that's even better. And then the third one is praise yourself and celebrate. And this is a very basic that I teach for all the stuff in my podcast, is praise yourself no matter what the outcome. If you go and ask someone out on a date and they say no, celebrate. Like I've even done that. Like I arranged it. I was like, okay, well, let's do this. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Amazing. And then come back with like, yeah, I don't think I'm really dating at the moment, which, I don't completely buy into, but it's, it might have been it was like her decision. But what I did was celebrate that I took the action, right? So start celebrating your action. If you start focusing on the outcome when they're bad or not what you wanted, then that's always going to put your like happiness and your belief in yourself at risk. Whilst if you start focusing on celebrating the action, no matter what, then you're always winning as long as you're taking the action, right? And then we naturally want to do more things when we celebrate ourselves and feel good. So I've got a final point for you as well. Just before I get on to that, I want to mention that if you want to connect with me more on social media, I'll leave my links below. And also, if you're looking to do a breathwork session, I'll leave a link for that below as well. My final bonus point for you would be this, if I was to share one thing. Hire yourself an expert in this area. Now, I'm working really on my deep connections at the moment because that's something I always want to improve, if I'm honest. Having like deep, meaningful connection with a woman is something I've not naturally picked up over time. Now, through my 20s, yeah, I did a lot of dating, all that kind of things. Blessed to meet a lot of women and have short-term sort of relationships. But for me, having an in-depth conversation now, it's a thing that I don't think a lot of us are trained for these days, in my view, because we've all got this like texting, we're all like just like messaging all the time, and we'd actually spend time with people. Even if you look at families around tables, they're often, for example, on their phones, right? So what I prioritize was hiring multiple different coaches to really allow me to connect with myself deeply, really regulate my nervous system so that I'm more present, and I definitely feel it when I'm around people as well. So I would say hire an expert, but make sure you hire an expert who's got the results you want. I will say this again, it's one of my pet peeves, and I'm going to have people disagree with me. I only hire coaches who have got the result that I want, right? I'm not going to hire a financial coach who's broke. I'm not going to hire a relationship coach who's single. That one's controversial, but that's just my view. I'm not going to hire a health coach who's unhealthy, right? That's just my view. So what I personally would recommend, and again, it's your own truth, and I may, again, some people might not like that, but just look for what you want, like in someone. But hiring an expert in an area, particularly a coach, is really, really a good shortcut because they can give you feedback. They can look at your situations from a different way. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I appreciate you for being here, and remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.